3 counties, 24 cities, working together, accomplishing more than any of us could alone. Whether your roots run generations deep, or you recently moved to Greater Portland, you are a part of Metro, the nation's only regional government elected by the people. Planning for the future, preserving what we love. Let's keep our region thriving for decades to come.
I'm Micah Reese, and I'm the Dive Safety Officer here at the Oregon Zoo, and safety is a big part of my job. Some of the things we consider here is diver safety. I'm out here at the Oregon Zoo, and you're at the Metro Regional Center. The council chamber is located on the 3rd floor of this building. In the event of fire or fire alarm, please exit through the door in the northeast corner of the room, go down the steps to the 2nd floor, and exit through the main entrance by the reception desk and gather in the courtyard outside the entrance. In the event of a medical or fire emergency, please call 911 and notify the security agent at the front desk. The nearest defibrillator is mounted on the steps leading from the reception desk down to Grand Avenue. Thank you.
Hi, good morning. Councilor Nolan.
Present. Good morning.
Councilor Gonzalez.
Present. Good morning.
Councilor Simpson.
Present.
Councilor Rosenthal.
Here.
And Acting Council President Huang.
Present. Thank you. Okay, we'll open public communications on non-agenda items. And could you please describe to the audience our procedures that we use for public communications?
Yes, of course. If you are testifying on non-agenda items, now is the time to do so. If you are testifying in person, please sign up by filling out a blue card in the back of the room and bringing it up to me. If you are testifying on Zoom, please sign up by using the raise hand function in the reactions or more tab, and or you can dial *9. When it's your turn to testify, I will call your name and or phone number and promote you to a panelist on Zoom. Your window will close briefly as you rejoin as a panelist, and you can turn on your camera if you'd like. Testimony is limited to 3 minutes, and the timer will begin. Thank you. When you begin speaking, please state your name for the record, but you do not need to give your physical address. And I know that we have Sharon Nassett signed up to testify today. Sharon, I see you listed twice in Zoom, maybe 2 devices, so I will promote one, and if that works, that's great, and if not, I'll give it a moment and promote the other. I see you in the queue, Sharon. You're welcome to start as soon as you'd like. Councilor Wong, it doesn't look like anyone is joining us. Would you like to continue with the meeting and maybe keep an eye on the raised hands?
Okay. Sounds good. We'll continue. Should I close the public communications?
Hold it open if she is potentially.
Okay. We'll reopen it if Sharon's available. Okay. Well, we'll handle our consent agenda. We have 2 items on today's consent agenda. Resolution number 26-5611 for the purpose of appointing members to the Natural Areas and Capital Program Performance Oversight Committee, and resolution number 26-5603 for the purpose of reappointing 2 members to the Audit Committee. Is there a motion on the consent agenda?
So moved. I'll second that.
Okay, it's moved by Counselor Simpson and seconded by Counselor Gonzalez. All in favor, say aye. 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 All opposed, say nay. The consent agenda passes unanimously. We'll move on to resolutions. Resolution number 26-5602 for a purpose of authorizing an exemption from competitive bidding and procurement of construction manager / general contractor services by competitive request for proposals for the Arlene Schnitzer Concert Hall HVAC equipment replacement project. At this time, I will recess the meeting of the Metro Council and convene the Metro Contract Review Board. We have staff from Capital Asset Management and Finance and Regular Services to explain the need for this exemption. We'll be joined by Kristen Henning, Senior Project Manager from Capital Asset Management, and Deanna Podbolin, Procurement Analyst, Finance and Regulatory Services. Welcome.
Good morning, Metro Councilors. My name is actually Haley Mock, the Procurement Metro Analyst assisting the construction project management team who are implementing the HVAC equipment replacement project at the Arlene Schnitzer Concert Hall. Kristen Hennings, the construction project manager, and I are here today to ask you, the local contract review board, to authorize an alternative procurement method for this project. The State of Oregon Public Contracting Statutes and our LCRB administrative rules require public improvement projects to be procured by low bid unless we receive approval from you to conduct an alternative procurement. Given the complexity of this project, critical construction coordination, sensitivity, and time constraints of the project, Procurement Services recommends a value-based procurement method in the form of a request for proposal for construction manager general contractor. This qualification-based selection approach provides for a competitive process, and it allows for the general contractor and architect engineering team to work together from the outset. This will result in a decreased overall risk for the project. It allows the team to design and strategically define and schedule construction while the venue remains open. It also allows for collaborative design and defining building methods, which will decrease potential change orders during construction, and it allows for cost estimating throughout each phase of the design process to eventually come to a guaranteed maximum price rather than value engineering out critical aspects after the fact. So with this process, we'll be able to evaluate other important factors such as contractor qualifications, previous experience constructing complex projects, diversity plan, and their track record of meeting deadlines and guaranteed maximum price. So I ask that you approve us using a request for proposal for the CMGC procurement method for the Arlene Schnitzer Concert Hall HVAC equipment replacement project. Thank you so much.
Okay. Colleagues, any questions before we open the public hearing? Councilor Nolan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks for the explanation. This question is not really about this specific thing, but it's a overall practice question. So it's perhaps more appropriate for Craig or Marisa to reply, and maybe not even today. I get a sense, and I know it's because the only ones of these that we see are the exceptions. But given that we've got state law and our existing code that says we should use low bid, seems to me the exceptions should be de minimis. And I'd be curious to know what % of capital, particularly capital projects, because buying paper is pretty straightforward. No complexity to that at all. What percentage of them are let under an exception, dollar-wise? And looking a little down the road, I have no idea when this code was written, but I suspect it's a bit antiquated, and maybe it's time for us to look at rewriting the code if the exceptions are a significant portion of purchases. if they're 10%, 15%, then we'll do the exceptions. But maybe we should have our code meet the way we actually do business in the public's interest. So I'm going to support this one, but it opens a question about how we do this and whether we ought to bring our practices in compliance with our code or vice versa.
Thank you, Councilor Nolan. That's a great question. We can absolutely look at our data and provide an answer to you and the rest of council.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, so I have it. I have the question is what percentage of capital projects are let on an exception versus the standard code or low bid process, and by dollar amount?
And the extension of that is comparing the time it would take to propose and amend the code with the time it takes to prepare all these exception items. Maybe it's worth investing in updating the code. And I would ask you to make a recommendation to us as to whether it's worth pursuing that.
If I may, for just a minute, Carrie McLaren, Metro Attorney, I think there are some provisions around sort of state contracting requirements, and so we'll circle back with that sort of state law context as part of this answer. I think that would help council be able to better assess what direction to go.
Makes sense.
Okay. Thanks.
A question for me, since we're shifting the P5 back to the city, why are we responsible for this?
Yeah, great question. What I do know is that the infrastructure is just beyond its useful life, and it's an important building with really important operations. And I'm not privy to the conversations between the city and Metro, but I do know that it's a high priority to get this equipment fixed immediately and get this going rather than wait and just see what happens. That as there's has been assessed that there's way too much risk in that approach.
Okay, and I'm guessing like this would have to happen no matter what, so it's just like on our
Sure,
frame, and
sure,
even
and
if it shifted, the money would shift along with it.
Right, and if these systems were to go down, we wouldn't be able to have performances. Operations would stop, and that's a big important thing.
Oh, hello.
Acting Council President Wong, Councilors Craig Stroud, General Manager of Metro's Venues. Two responses I would give. One, it's critical to continue operations. So to have a catastrophic failure and have all the business disruptions, the emergency cost of trying to do this repair, similar to what happened with the chiller a couple of years ago, would not be a condition we'd want to find ourselves in. So this is important to move this critical work forward now. The second piece is, although Metro is operating those venues today, all of the cash in the bank and all of the assets of the P5 venues are owned by the city of Portland. So in essence, we're spending City of Portland money that would go to them on July 1, 2027, when the transfer back to the city happens. We're spending those monies now to repair their critical asset. So I hope that helps give some perspective. We're spending their money to repair their asset, in essence.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Good, let's spend some more of it.
It's funny.
Okay, well, let's open the public hearing. Anne, can you read the procedures for providing public testimony in this resolution?
Yes, I can. This is your opportunity to testify on resolution number 265602. I do notice that we have Sharon in the audience raising your hand. Sharon, we will revisit the public communication after the vote on this item. If you can please hang tight, thank you. For anyone wishing to testify on this resolution, now is the time to do so. If you are testifying on Zoom or by phone, please sign up using the raised hand function in the reactions or more menus, or by dialing *9. When it's your turn to testify, I'll call your name or phone number, and if you are on Zoom, please click accept to be promoted to a panelist, and your Zoom window will close briefly while you rejoin. You can turn on your camera if you like. Testimony is limited to 3 minutes, and the timer begins when you begin speaking. If you are testifying in person, there are timers on the table. Please state your name for the record before testifying, but you do not need to give your physical address. And Acting Council President Huang, the only person that I see signed up right now is for general public comment. And I don't see anyone in the room.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think Councilor had a question, but let's do a motion and second and then continue discussion. So is there a motion?
So move.
Second. Okay, it's moved by Councilor Gonzalez, seconded by Councilor Rosenthal.
It was me. It was Simpson.
Oh, sorry,
It was me.
Councilor Simpson. Moved by Councilor Simpson. And seconded by Councilor Rosenthal.
We can't sit next to each
Councilor Rosenthal, do you have another question?
Yeah, I just had a question. Is there any substantial, both time and equipment, looking through the list of the authorized chief operating officer, all the lists of requirements for the request for proposal, is there any particular time differences or any particular substantive differences between the two? In other words, will this save a substantial amount of time?
It will allow a contractor to come in very early in the design process and really inform what the designers are looking at, opening up walls, looking at existing conditions, and then put together drawings that make a lot of sense, rather than proceeding in a direction, getting it bid, start the work, and then having to halt because of certain things, or even phasing. You know, a contractor can come in, we have this machinery, this is how we see demolishing, removing, doing the work, and some of these things needs to be phased in a certain way. So being able to have that part of that up front really saves time on the back end.
Great, thank you.
Okay, Councilor Rosenthal, your hand is still up, but I'm assuming you know that's your question. Okay, well, let's call the roll then.
Councilor Gonzalez,
Aye.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes?
Councilor Rosenthal,
Yes?
Councilor Simpson,
Aye.
Acting Council President Huang.
Aye. The resolution passes. Okay, the Metro Contract Review Board is now adjourned and the meeting of the Metro Council is now reconvened. At this point, if Sharon is able, let's take that testimony.
Yes, absolutely, Sharon. I just gave you the opportunity to join as a panelist. It looks like she's rejoining right now.
Are they not joining as a panelist?
I think they submitted testimony to us as well via email.
Yes, Acting Council President Wong, it looks like she's not able to join, but she did submit testimony. We can reach out for other opportunities as well.
Okay, thank you. Now we'll turn to ordinances for a second reading and vote. We are considering ordinance number 26-1543. Councilors, you'll recall that we held a first reading and public hearing on this ordinance on May 14th, and we kept the record open through our public testimony, open through our public hearing last Thursday, May 21st. We received testimony in support of and in opposition to the annexation. Glenn Hamburg, Senior Regional Planner, is here to answer any final questions you may have. Councilors, any questions for staff about this ordinance? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion on ordinance number 26-1543.
I move adoption.
I'll second.
Okay, it's moved by Councilor Nolan and seconded by Councilor Rosenthal. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, let's do a roll call.
Councilor Rosenthal,
Yes?
Councilor Simpson,
Aye.
Councilor Nolan,
Yes.
Acting Council President Huang.
Aye. The ordinance passes. Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you all.
Okay, we'll move on to COO communication.
Thank you, Acting Council President Wong. I just wanted to briefly reflect on the best practices trip from last week to Vancouver, BC. It was a wonderful trip and wonderful opportunity to connect with other leaders from the Portland region and learn more about the incredible city that is Vancouver, BC. I participated both days in the tourism track. and would love to come back at a later date with a more comprehensive sort of reflection on what we learned. But the big takeaway for me is that Vancouver, BC has a pretty incredible cross-city coordination, public-private partnership to amplify and make the most of large events that come to their city. While we were there, they were preparing for FIFA and the World Cup all across the city. There were soccer balls, there were ancillary, they called them animations or other events related to the big event to allow not just the people who have a ticket to the event to participate, but everyone in the region to be able to come downtown, be part of a moment, and spur and feed economic development in the downtown core. And this is something that they have been doing since Expo 86. Which was sort of like the first big destination event that they had. And over the decades, they've just really refined how they approach these big events. And I think we have an opportunity to do that here. They kept talking about Team Vancouver, and it became really clear as we were talking amongst the Portland delegation that we don't have that level of coordination, we don't have the infrastructure, and it's not super complex. It's, a couple of people who work with the city of Vancouver to make sure that these big events go off and have like the maximum economic impact. And we can do the same thing here. The last thing I'll say is that a lot of folks talked about how Vancouver got by on its, quote, like good looks for a long time. And as competition in other places increased, they had to get more intentional. And I think for a lot of us on the trip that resonated that, Portland, we've gotten by on our pretty, vistas and kind of our spirit. And now we're in this little bit of we've had a reputational hit, and it's going to take some more intention and coordination across not just government, but the private sector as well. And we have a huge opportunity coming up in 2030 with the Women's Final Four coming. So we have 4 years to prepare and really make sure that that event goes off and animates the entire region. So I'm pumped. Thank you for giving me the time and space to go. I feel like I've come back with just a lot of energy and ideas for how Metro can be a part of a solution for economic development around tourism here. So thank you.
Well, thanks for joining the trip.
Yeah.
Oh, Councilor Simpson.
Thank you, Acting President Wong. Thank you so much for coming back, reporting on this. As you talk about the World Cup and preparing for it, I did see Mayor Mamdani. He also was able to make sure that it was affordable for his residents to be able to participate and or go see matches. And I think that you're right. We need to really come together around what is Team Portland, because there's this inherent tension around big sports and business and community that we need to sort out and wrangle, because it shouldn't be in competition with one another. Mm-hmm. Our constituents, people who want to come and visit us, our community deserves to have sport and entertainment.
Yep.
And we should provide that space and opportunity for them. And it shouldn't be one that should be adversarial, because should be fun and
exactly
something for community to engage with. I'm happy to continue those conversations with you and lead any conversations we need around the region, around sports and tourism and our economy, because it plays a major role and it is a part of our fabric. It is not separate.
Excellent. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Great comments. Okay, Councilor Communications. Councilor Rosenthal.
Yeah, just to have mentioned that we had an opportunity to make a presentation about our main values to the Tualatin City Council the other night, and it was encouraging to see that they were very engaged. In fact, it took about an hour of questioning from the City Council. They were engaged not only in the supportive housing services aspect and how that is provided, but also in the future vision. They were a little disappointed that the future vision, the survey is done, and they were very concerned about having more opportunities for more engagement throughout the summer. We talked about the youth cohort and so forth, and that was very good. They were also very concerned about the solid waste fees, but that's another matter.
We also did have MPAC last night, and we had a great conversation around the Prosperity Council. Councilor Nolan made a great point about how they want the public sector to do more and probably ask for tax cuts as well. So we have to get right with that. I don't know if you want to add any additional thoughts, but the presentation was great, and I think when it's appropriate, we'd like to have the governor's team come present on the findings.
Mr. Chair, I agree that it was one of the better conversations in PAC around, it gets to the question of regional engagement and how we move, whether the topic is sports, entertainment, manufacturing, services, how we retain local identity while committing to region-wide equitable opportunities and results.
Mm-hmm.
That seems always to be the linchpin.
If I may, we had spoke to a panel of folks who work on Granville Island where there's a public market. And one of the most valuable things that they said was that when they make investments in tourism, they're really investing in their community. Their audience, when they think about like, let's do something cool, they think about what would our residents like to experience. And then that becomes a draw because people want to go to Vancouver to experience Vancouver. They don't want to go to experience other things. So the investment in community is simultaneously for the residents and it draws other folks in. So I think what you're saying is exactly right. As we look at tourism as an economic development tool, how do we center the people who are here and make cool things for them and cool places for them and cool experiences for them? And that is actually the key to drawing other people in. It's not thinking about, how do we please these people in other places. It's about investing in us. And then there's this amazing byproduct of that attracting other people here.
We went on a best practices trip to Minneapolis last year, and they had stadium issues too, NFL, and they built a new stadium, Viking Stadium. And when the state said, we're going to invest in the infrastructure, but it has to be open up to community, and they gave us a real good frame to think about it. They said, you should look at any public dollars going into any arena or stadium as a public state park for sports. And it should be opened up for community for a number of events from the state championship game. So for me, I think about MOTA and what we're going through, and I'm like, well, tell me if Medford made the state championship basketball game, those folks from Medford wouldn't drive to come and watch their kids play in the MOTA Center against whoever, right? Like being able to open it up and say, how can we have more community engagement with the space? Because it is city owned, same like Viking Stadium is state owned. We got to get to yes, and we got to get to more events faster than just trying to figure it out all the time.
I've hesitated a little, Mr. Chair, but World Cup has a lot of excitement, talent, drama on the field around it. But let's not forget the cities that are struggling with the division of cost responsibilities between FIFA and the city, and particularly given the current unpopularity of the United States as a tourist destination. We should learn from the excitement and from the staging of events and the, showing the local pretty face, but also a deeper presentation to the public. But we should also think about cities that have not managed cities, metropolitan areas that have not managed their tourism investments well, and now have housing affordability questions because of tourism and, you know, Airbnbs and VRBOs, people buying housing units to rent on overnight stays instead of for long-term housing. I think we're smart enough, but only if we really put some intention to it, that we avoid some of the pitfalls that other cities, you know, Paris, Rome, Copenhagen, lots of cities are now disinvesting in tourism because it has had negative effects on their residents. And I want us to avoid that and enjoy the community and the drama and the excitement of entertainment broadly, sports included, but not be, not think that every tourist is the same.
Councilor Rosenthal?
Well, I'm sort of interesting. It was a very interesting conversation, and I think it's very good that the governor's task force is looking at the economic development. There is a little bit of a tendency to just want to focus on the industrial development. As has been noted before, we rank pretty high already in the terms of small-scale industrial development in this state per capita. So that is it's an important aspect, but as people have pointed out, sports is also important. We have other sectors of the economy that are critically important. Agricultural is important, sports is important. And then as a tourist destination, we also have to remember the cultural values that we have. So I guess my takeaway is, yes, this is important and what we're focusing on right now, and Metro's role in economic development and in supporting this economic development initiative is important, but we have to remember that it's a big net, and that we have, for example, we have Portland and the Willamette Valley is important sports, it's important food, and it's an important music venue that is what brings people. And people come here for a lot of the, the cultural vibe, you might say. So it's a big issue. And there was some concern, incidentally, at the Tualatin City Council also that was voiced about what Metro's role should be. And there was I wouldn't say a consensus, but there was an opinion that as a convener, we have a role in doing this per the regional area. And that is something that perhaps we could do a little bit better.
Okay, great. Okay, was there any other councilor communications? Okay, well, saying no further discussion, the council meeting is adjourned. Our next regular meeting is scheduled for June 2nd at 10 a.m.
Additionally, the TSCC holds public budget hearings to engage with district leadership and provide additional opportunity for public comment before budget adoption. Here today. I will now ask my fellow commissioners and the staff to introduce themselves and state if they have any business relationships with the district that could be perceived as a conflict of interest. Todd, can you start, please?
Oh, I guess there's nobody. Good morning. My name is Todd Burton. This is my third year on the commission. Glad to be here today. In my prior life, I was a finance officer and budget officer for a couple of jurisdictions in the region.
Good morning. Pleased to be here. Eric Kovarston, retired city manager, my first year on the commission, and I have no conflicts.
And again, I'm Matt Donahue, Chair, fifth year on the TSCC. My day job is as municipal bond banker or financial advisor, and I have no conflicts with the district.
My name is Rita Moore. I'm a former policy analyst. This is my second year on TSCC.
Hi, my name is Will Terry. I am a former academic, and this is my first year on the TSCC.
For the record, I have no conflict.
You see?
Follow-ups, so make sure we have time for that. And with that, Todd, I'll hand it over to you for the first question.
Thank you. Voters approved the Oregon Zoo bond in 2024, and funds were issued first in April of 25. Now, a year later, we'd like to hear more about the bond projects, what has been completed so far, and what is planned for the upcoming budget year.
Thank you. I'll take that. So the Oregon Zoo is on track to deliver on the 2024 ballot measure commitments. The zoo received their campus plan and land use approval in 2024. Since then, the new zoo bond delivery team has been hired. The Zoo Bond Oversight Committee had their first meetings, and the zoo broke ground on our first projects for plaza enhancements in January 2026. In fiscal year 26-27, the zoo will continue to work on the next major project called Coastal Shores, which includes new habitats for penguins, seals, and sea otters, along with improved guest amenities. The habitats and life support systems for these species include complex and challenging designs and construction. The zoo will hire design and construction firms later this summer, and these projects will address some of the oldest areas of the zoo. Also, the Plaza Enhancements project will continue constructing another visitor shade structure at Elephant Plaza, which is currently in the design phase, and improvement to the frontage entrance gate. The total expenditure on the Zoo Bond project to date is approximately $8.5 million. And in fiscal year 26-27, the Zoo Bond expects to spend approximately $14.8 million. Expenditures will increase significantly with Coastal Shores construction in 2028. That's my comment.
Thank you. So there's an oversight committee as well with the bond. Can you explain a little bit what's going on, or what's the role of the oversight committee and what feedback they've provided so far?
I'll call up the staff to come and support me here.
Good morning. I'm Beth Redmond Jones. I'm the Director of Campus Planning at the Oregon Zoo, AKA the Bond Team. Yes, we do have an oversight committee. The committee had their first meeting in February. We just had our second meeting earlier this month. The role of the oversight committee is to be sure that we are being fiscally responsible and fulfilling the bond obligations as outlined in the bond measure.
So have they had a chance to provide any feedback to staff at this point or to the council?
They've not provided anything to council as of yet. They provide an annual report, which will be coming. The first meeting was basically initiating them in what the campus plan was and what we were doing and what was coming forward. The last meeting was a presentation by Auditor Evans about the audit that we just had, and then we did a tour so they could see the construction that was underway.
So it sounds like they're familiar with the audit that was just done by the Metro.
Yes, they are. They received it all. Auditor Evans gave a presentation, and they were able to ask questions of it and of him.
Great. Okay. Well, we'll look forward to asking about that next year as well, since the committee will have had a year under their belt. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Good morning again. Congratulations on the affordable housing program. It's slated to achieve over 140% of its original target for production. I think we're interested in what you contribute the success of the program to.
Hi there, I'll take this one. Metro, for the Affordable Housing Program, which is a capital bond program funded by voter-approved bonds, Metro provides regional oversight and establishes allocations of both how many units each local partner will produce and what funding comes from the bond to support that commitment to delivering housing units. Local jurisdictions, housing authorities, nonprofit, CDC, community development corporations, and affordable housing developers build and operate the committed units in areas around, in locations around the region. The combination allows partners to respond to local market conditions and simultaneously meet regional objectives. The program benefited from early action by Metro and our local partners. In many instances, partners secured sites, assembled financing, and moved projects forward before the significant increases in construction costs that we are all aware of and that are still now affecting our affordable housing developers. The bond framework combined clear regional expectations with local implementation flexibility. And finally, the program required extensive coordination among local, regional, state, and private partners to align funding and advance projects within a complex and evolving development environment, including coordination between affordable housing investments and regional supportive housing and rental assistance programs, which were approved by voters in a separate ballot measure. And thanks for the congratulations. We're proud of the work we've done there together with our partners.
Great. Thank you, Councilor. You touched on this a bit in your response, but anything else you can talk to us about the long-term operations of these facilities and Metro's responsibility versus other participants?
Well, I alluded a little to that, as you mentioned. So the 2018, I think, bond measure is for the construction of facilities, housing units, that are catalyzed, if you will, by Metro's investments. We are often, we say, the first dollar in and the last dollar in to close the final gap for financing. Then in 2000, the voters approved a different ballot measure that provides supportive housing services for the individuals who occupied those properties and other individuals, and not limited to our affordable housing inventory. Those have to work very closely in coordination. We've done that organizationally here at Metro by having one housing division that is led by a director and a leadership team that coordinates all of what we do. Now, we're not the only player, and in fact, we don't actually manage the contracts to build the buildings or to provide the services. That is done through an extensive and very complex network of private operators and for-profit as well as nonprofit. And trying to anticipate what our needs are, where other funding sources are, federal, state. That's where the real expertise comes in to plan for and execute long-term operations.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Could I ask a follow-up? So my understanding is that a number of the affordable housing facilities have experienced an unusual amount of wear and tear over the years, and the need for a fair amount of rehabilitation at times. Since Metro kind of funded the construction. I'm wondering if you have any role in overseeing those kinds of things, and if so, what's been your experience?
So I will start responding, Dr. Moore, and then our housing director will fill in the details and correct any errors I make. Metro's involvement in the construction of affordable housing, subsidized housing in the region began in 2018. So the older facilities you're talking about were constructed by housing authorities at the local level and other entities, community development councils, CDC, what's the C?
Community Development Corporation.
Corporations, thank you. The housing we have catalyzed is all pretty new. I think we opened our first one in 2022 or 23. So we have maintenance issues, but not long-term deterioration. And now I have exceeded the extent of my expertise in this, and Liam Frost will fill in what's really going on.
Thank you, Councillor Nolan. For the record, my name is Liam Frost. I'm the housing director. I use he, him, his pronouns. It's a pleasure to be here with you all this morning. Thank you. And I'll be as brief as possible. There are many reasons for wear and tear. A property that is lasting over 15 years tends to have some major upkeep that is required, roofs, elevators, for example, in some buildings. And I also think more recently, some of the property management issues that we've seen through different kinds of behavioral issues that have impacted properties, we've benefited from having both the supportive housing services and the affordable housing bond in our department because we're able to share information back and forth. And I'll give you an example of one of the outcomes there. One of our former advisory committees, the Tri-County Planning Body, set out 6 regional goals. One of them was landlord recruitment. Under that, SHS is funding a $7 million risk mitigation pool so that those repairs can be made over time for any kind of damaged units so that landlords, property owners, property managers can make those improvements over time and also further be incentivized to house folks that they might be reluctant to house in the first place.
So do you have any oversight responsibility for?
That was the actual question. We don't have any.
But I appreciate the preface.
Well, it's a difficult piece of this because both of our sources of funding are basically time limited, and in this case, it's the bond. So our asset management responsibility, as it were, is somewhat limited until we find a way to secure additional resources in the future. That's a major responsibility of our staff to develop additional frameworks for the future of what we've learned from before. And I believe that, asset management should be a core responsibility of ongoing funding sources for affordable housing. It gets really complicated because a lot of these affordable housing developments have different sources of funding. So you have sources of funding from the state, private equity, and so on. I would like to see a system where you have a clear role and responsibility for asset management and bringing these parties together. Metro is famous for convening. We've done a lot of convening over the last couple of years with different CDCs, housing authorities, and private developers to start figuring out how we can come together and solve for these in the future. But currently, to answer your question, we don't have a direct oversight role in that area.
Does anyone?
Does anyone? The jurisdictions that we provide, that we allocate funding to do, yes. So City of Beaverton, for example, City of Portland, the 3 housing authorities do, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Continuing talking about supportive housing, the supportive housing services tax has become, you might say, the cornerstone of county level homelessness funding, dwarfing traditional general fund and federal allocations. Last year, Metro shared plans to move more firmly into a funder role for SHS dollars, one focused on regional oversight where counties demonstrate goal achievement through their local implementation plans. How has this government shift been realized at this point? And based on current performance data, how effectively are the counties meeting the benchmarks outlined in these plans?
Yeah, thanks for that question. to provide enhanced oversight and pivot to a more intentional funder role for the SHS measure. Metro Council passed a suite of reforms to SHS in December of 2025. The reform actions included updates to governance and were intended to improve the regional system through streamlining oversight, accelerating coordination across the region, and delivering better and lasting outcomes for people experiencing homelessness. A new governance structure was implemented this spring with the launch of the Regional Policy and Oversight Committee, or RPOC, to streamline governance. Existing committees, including the SHS Oversight Committee and the Tri-County Planning Body, were sunset, and their work was consolidated into this new body. The RPOC is charged with providing SHS oversight and accountability and providing regional policy recommendations to Metro Council. More specifically, RPOC will work to approve 5-year SHS goals, key performance indicators, and key environmental indicators. Once these goals are approved, Metro will update reporting and monitoring structures to ensure consistent tracking of progress towards goals and requirements. Metro currently tracks progress toward 10-year goals established in the 2020 SHS work plan to connect at least 5,000 households experiencing prolonged homelessness to permanent supportive housing and stabilizing at least 10,000 households at risk of experiencing homelessness in permanent housing. Current data shows that counties are on track to achieve the first goal, with 4,887 households placed in permanent supportive housing, and have far exceeded the second goal, with 4,135 households placed in permanent housing and an additional 19,134 households are served with homelessness prevention services.
Thank you. So just generally speaking, how would you characterize the county's performance? Are they exceeding the measures, still room for improvement, unsatisfactory?
Well, I think that's a challenging question, depending on who you ask. I think for the metrics and numbers that were set forth in the 2020 measure, we as a region have exceeded them. But I think if you ask, regular folks out in the street that are still seeing the problem, throughout the region, that we're not doing a satisfactory job. And I think that's two different challenges.
Sure.
So I think what we're focused on right now is through RPOC, how do we build a regional system that's more responsive and create more efficiency. So I think what we believe is that, the SHS measure is necessary but not sufficient to address homelessness, and that we need to better coordinate with, the healthcare sector, the federal government. It requires a lot of different changes, in how our society functions. So, the SHS measure is really intended to, provide a good deal of funding and take kind of the worst edge off. But I think we've got a lot of soul searching in a lot of ways to figure out how best to implement the remaining years and hopefully ask voters for extension. But I think the initial metrics that we sized in 2020, we've achieved, but the world has changed since then.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Does Metro or any of the other folks, these committees, do they provide technical assistance to the counties, or do they need the technical assistance or ask for it?
We have through the regional program, we provide technical assistance to providers. So that's part of our goal of building kind of a unified regional system. So if there is technical assistance kind of being provided through kind of the regional funds.
To the nonprofits that are doing the work.
That's right.
On it. Okay.
Acting President Wong.
Yeah.
If I could interject, hello, everyone. My name is Marisa Madrigal. I'm Metro's Chief Operating Officer, and I use she, her pronouns. I think when we're talking about the success of the SHS measure, we cannot say often enough that the inflow of people into homelessness is far outstripping the resources that we have, and the reasons, the drivers of that inflow are very often outside of our control. Some of us were just in Vancouver, BC last week on a best practices tour. We had a panel of folks who are in Vancouver working on housing and homelessness. They too, because of their high housing prices, are seeing higher inflows of people into homelessness than they can get back out the other side. So this is something that the entire West Coast is experiencing, and even, smaller cities, smaller towns and other places across the country who have not been impacted by homelessness in the past. As housing prices increase, we're seeing more and more people enter into homelessness. And so I think the more we can make sure that our community understands that, the fact that they're seeing more people on the street is not because some of these things are failing. I mean, we can always improve. I will always say we can always do a better job and hone in our practices. But there is an overwhelming wave of people flowing into homelessness right now, not just here, but across the country. And it's going to take some national action to address that.
Thanks. And so the single most significant driver of that is the increase in housing costs? Is that the view?
That's my belief. I'll look to, yeah. And I think there's more and more studies beginning to show that as well.
I guess I wanted to probe that a little bit more. This is not my area of expertise, but I imagine if I have a question about it, maybe others do. I'm wondering about the forecast of these drivers of homelessness going forward, the inflows that you referred to. If the population is stable, I guess I'm having a difficult time, understanding the math of that. Apparently households are becoming smaller, and so there's more of a demand in that sense. But with respect to housing prices, I would imagine that economics would take over at some point, and the markets would clear or something like that. So could you say a little bit more, perhaps, about the drivers going forward, perhaps?
I'll try, and then I'll also see if Liam wants to come back. I mean, when you look at the cost of a studio apartment, even an affordable one, it's over $1,000 a month. When you look at the jobs that are available, and this is just, observation, I have a 23-year-old, the jobs that are available right now are not sufficient to support rent. And if you add on anything else, behavioral health issues, one bad day, the math doesn't work. The math doesn't work to stay housed. So I'm not an economist, though.
Well, thank you. Again, for the record, Liam Frost, Housing Director, I use he, him, his pronouns. I completely agree with our COO, Marisa Madrigal. Any economist I'm speaking to locally has been telling me for the last 2 years that the city of Portland and now the Portland metro area is in a localized recession. And it is going to be really difficult for us to get out of that. So I'm not seeing any economic indicators that tell us that we are going to have more living wage jobs for folks, that there'll be more available resources to pay for the things that people need. Since I have the mic right now, the thing that I really want to communicate is that the more that homelessness grows, the more pressure there is on the safety net to solve it. That's the wrong conclusion to come to. We need to also be focused on developing a local economy so people do have jobs to go to. The more pressure that we have, the more money that we're going to be asking for. And at some point, you're going to get diminishing returns on that without addressing other areas too. And since behavioral health was brought up, I just want to add that some folks who manage their mental health, manage their addictions even, I know people, my friends who are able to stay housed, I know that once the housing disappears, they will not be able to manage those issues. And so there's a conflation around people losing their homes because of behavioral health. It's a little more complicated than that. I think people are managing, and then all of a sudden when you're homeless, it's really impossible to manage, which then requires much more resources from the safety net to get people into stability again. A job and better resources or community resources would prevent all those other tax resources from being need to be spent. But we're in a tough spot right now. There's no doubt about it.
Thank you.
So I'm going to poke this tough spot a little more. Metro reports that 14,000 people have been housed since the SHS tax began. But some in our community feel that the situation on the streets doesn't match those numbers, which you've already acknowledged. There's a concern that people are being housed only to end up back on the street a few months later. Are these housing placements permanent? How do you know? Asked another way, what percentage of people are still in their homes 1 year later? And how do you make sure the counties are reporting those numbers accurately?
This is also me. The SHS Fund is a critical resource as our region works to address homelessness. In the latest regional annual report, data showed that in the first 4 years of SHS implementation, counties moved 4,936 people into permanent housing. Of those housed, more than 85% remained in stable housing 1 year later. This is a higher retention rate than we see for other funding sources. SHS is meeting its goals of housing and keeping people retained in housing. However, our most recent annual report data also shows that economic and policy factors that are outside of a homelessness service system's control are driving increased rates of homelessness across the region. SHS housing placements are outpaced by growing needs as broad systemic factors continue to push more people out of their homes. The number of households estimated who still need permanent supportive housing is higher than when SHS was first launched. The county's inflow and outflow data help to explain this challenge. For every 10 people who exited the region's homelessness services system to permanent housing in year 4, an average of 30 new people entered the system. The pattern is reflected in the 2025 point in time count, which documented a 61% increase in people experiencing homelessness in the Tri-County region between 2023 and 2025. That is despite the thousands of people who exited homelessness through SHS-funded programs in that period. Metro provides oversight and accountability for the SHS measures, and this includes monitoring progress toward 10-year regional goals, among other requirements for SHS. Counties submit quarterly and annual reports to Metro, and quarterly de-identified and disaggregated data for all people served with SHS funding. Metro then uses this data to conduct core oversight functions, including validating data from reports, evaluating the effectiveness of SHS, and monitoring the counties to ensure funds are spent in alignment with SHS requirements.
Just a couple of, is it still fair to say that the point in time count is more than likely an undercount?
I'll defer to Liam.
Thank you. Potentially, I will say that the data methodologies that have been implemented over the last 2 to 3 years have developed a much more accurate reflection of the homeless population. It's a tremendously transitional population that's always in flux, but compared to previous data methodologies, namely the point in time count once a year, we're light years ahead in capturing that. So it's much more accurate. I can't say that it is accurate on any given day.
So if I heard correctly, you have an 85% retention among the counties or among service providers in the retention rate, and since Metro has this kind of global view that the counties don't, have you seen any patterns in the kinds of services that produce the best results? Have you developed any kind of guidelines about, what's the best mix of services or something?
How much time do we have? That's a big question.
I got all day.
But I do have a quick answer for you, a brief answer. First of all, the system that we've inherited, some days it's hard for me to describe it as a system just because we have so many different nonprofit service providers doing so much work across 3 different counties. So for me to extrapolate and then identify a trend is challenging in that regard because some nonprofits are doing it this way, other nonprofits are doing it that way. What I can say, though, is that if we are providing services that meet people's needs, then they are more likely to be retained. And that is everything from folks who require substance use disorder treatment to folks who don't identify as white and require different cultural competent services to feel more included and at home. Mm-hmm. Those are the things that we really need to invest in. The challenge that we have in our department that we will continue to work on is to better identify trends. And one of the ways in which I'm planning on moving forward in that regard is identifying different populations and their needs. Right now, we categorize the population served by SHS into two major categories: Population A, Population B. Population A is basically chronic homelessness, people with disabilities, have been homeless for a while. Population B is at really strong risk of homelessness. I think those categories are largely redundant. When this measure was passed or when it was cooked up in 2019, one, we were dealing with a different kind of population. Two, to your earlier point, we didn't see the pandemic coming. We didn't see this upcoming recession. We felt like the safety net, being invested in that way, would be able to match a 1-for-1 need. Now we're in a 3-to-1 need. So I think we need to do a thorough analysis of the populations being served, serve people with the needs that they have and their presenting needs. And I think we have to address this multiple, many nonprofit service providers doing the work as well. Sorry for the long answer, but I appreciate the opportunity.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, good. I'm not even quite sure how to ask this question. We've been, for those of us who had long careers, how homelessness has been a challenge for a long, long time, as you mentioned. But it seems much more difficult now. There's confusion among voters. Are we getting value from the dollar? There's confusion about who's doing what between Metro, the cities, the counties, the nonprofits. Yet there's still the requirement and the request to ask for more resources to address this problem. And I think maybe a lot of people don't feel like much is getting done. What's your message going forward to people to try to stick with this and try to find a way to address all of these systemic issues? That's a tough question, but.
I think it's the question on everybody's lips. I think my job as the director of this department is as an administrator. I'm not a politician. But my message is that we need to do a much better job of being efficient with taxpayer dollars. We need to demonstrate the return on investment that folks are getting. It's a lot easier on the affordable housing bond side, where we are showing an ROI on those buildings, those units, how those units are going to be used. When it comes to solving people's homelessness, we are stuck in a uniquely difficult, almost impossible position because the solution to homelessness is not being visible anymore. So all those folks that are being housed right now, nobody gets to see them. And so the success is that they are now invisible. They have their own place. So that's a really difficult communications message in terms of return on investment, because basically what I'm saying is, hey, we're housing thousands of people, trust me. That's a really difficult message to voters, especially when they're seeing more and more people fall into homelessness all the time, which is now why you hear me talk about things that are outside of my control, which are the economic factors, the lack of investment in behavioral health resources in the state of Oregon compared to literally 48 other states in the union. So I'm really leaning in on that message that we need to right-size our ship, but everything else also has to go well too, because we cannot be responsible for ending homelessness as the safety net. It's not a good message, but it's the one I have.
I don't mean to belabor this, and this is certainly not pointed, but I think I heard President Huang mention that there was a 63% increase in houselessness, point in time houselessness between 23 and 25. I guess I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. I mean, I presume that there wasn't a 63% increase in population during those 2 years. I mean, can we infer from that there's greater vacancy rate or something like that? How is it mathematically possible?
The improvements in data collection were largely responsible for that big leap.
So the 63% deserves an asterisk, right? There's a methodological difference.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's actually, I think it deserves an asterisk. Like, we got better at collecting data, so this is a more accurate picture. I think there were substantial undercounts in previous years.
Okay.
Which is where that sentiment is coming from. But I do think, the number has been increasing. And there's many factors at play. I think cost of living is definitely one of them. I just spent $85 to fill my Toyota Camry up. This economic situation is hitting our community really hard, which is driving part of that number. And I think the system that we intended and built is more or less full, right? Like we're at the limit of capacity of what we can do with SHS in this iteration. And it's not necessarily about more money from SHS. It's like, how do we align resources better? And I think we actually need to increase efficiency across the whole system. And that means looking at Medicaid dollars, looking at HUD dollars. Like, we need to actually be able to align and build a more effective and efficient system, which is very siloed. And I think that's something that RPOC is really looking at. I think that's number one, is like, we get more resources by better efficiency. And then, I think really thinking about prevention. I think a lot of times when we're doing this intervention, it's the most expensive time to intervene. It's like, it's much more cost effective to prevent someone from getting cancer than treating that cancer. So I think prevention is really important. And I think really looking at the outflow, right? A lot of this is intended to be permanent supportive housing. But like, we can't have a system where we keep joining this system. Like, we actually have to have ways for, workforce development, other things to like get people into a stable situation. So it's a multifaceted approach. SHS is one key piece of it, but it's not going to be the be all end all. And I think that's actually a really important message for voters, is this is not the problem. The problem is much bigger, and we actually have to all work together across jurisdictions and sectors to address this, societal challenge. And to blame one voter approved measure is like, that's just a shortcut. That's not going to solve anything.
Thank you. That's very well put. Switching gears, how is Metro preparing for the replacement of the Parks and Nature local option operating levy at the end of FY 2028? How likely is it that you'll be asking voters for a new levy and an increased tax rate?
I'll take that question. The current levy is set to expire in June 2028, and early this spring, Metro Council directed staff to prepare a work plan geared toward referring a levy measure in 2027. The questions on the levy are, of course, do we go with the same levy, or do we go with a levy because of inflation and various other cost increases? Do we go with something that's more? As part of this work plan for a future levy, we've asked staff for a detailed accounting of the current service delivery and what it will take to support the through 2023, the end of the next levy. We need to understand the needs of the region's voters as well, and so we've been also polling the region's voters to find out. One of the consistencies in this area is that people like parks and people like open space, and that is maintained. It's one of the characteristics of this region. People like the natural environment. The Parks and Nature Department experienced major cuts last year. They had to pare down in some of their areas in order to meet some budget constraints. They managed quite well. We know that level funding has not kept up with growing costs. There's been a lot of costs, and we also have acquired more properties, so there's more work to do. A renewal of the current levy will mean a cut in future services. So the question is, do we cut services, or do we try and get more money for doing the services that we have promised people? These are the decisions the council will be exploring in the fall and heading into 2027. In the meantime, we are using the budget and CIP process to clarify long-term service, maintenance, and capital needs. The CIP process helps identify which capital investments are needed and how they align with other asset conditions and service priorities. What risks exist and the projects are deferred, and whether there is a credible funding path within the 5-year plan. The information will help inform these broader decisions. And staff has been very good in sort of applying a fairly conservative model to identifying risks and to projecting future needs, so that we don't have too many, or so we don't have unexpected surprises. So planning for the future, but also realizing that you can't always control the future. Things break, things require capital expenditures. There's reserves for that if we need them.
Thank you very much. Just to follow up, Councilor Nolan alluded to this idea of dramatic increases, at least since COVID, in the cost of construction and procuring basic services in the aftermath of COVID. Assuming that those conditions continue, how do you anticipate perhaps adjusting your capital improvement plan to adapt to this reality? Can you say anything specific about what projects might be delayed or canceled?
That's a complicated question.
Hey, sorry, multi-part too.
Well, as you know, there's been a lot of national economic factors that we've had. Tariffs have been one thing. it's very hard to predict that because they've had less of an impact than we originally thought, but also they've been more unpredictable than we originally thought with legal decisions and so forth. So it's been difficult. There's also been cost escalations and supply chain issues and, transportation issues. And now we have transportation cost issues with rising fuel costs. These are hard. They continue to affect capital projects and schedules and delivery risks across the capital portfolio. The CIP process is designed to account for some uncertainty by requiring departments to prioritize projects and define the scopes and the schedules in advance so that we have a pretty good idea. Lower priority projects obviously then can fall off the list if that's really necessary. We don't have a crystal ball, unfortunately, or at least our crystal ball is very clouded these days. Develop budget assumptions. We have to work with financial managers to evaluate whether the projects are financially feasible within our 5-year plan. Cost estimates are reviewed for reasonableness, and projects are expected to include appropriate contingencies. But again, as I mentioned, these days the contingencies are really hard to estimate. It's a as they say, a brand new ball game in some regards. And particularly with some of the funding, and I could mention one of the fundings where we'll contribute to a large-scale project, and then the federal funding won't show up, and so that there's some questions as to what we do, and so we have to be flexible. The reality is that for the life of the 219 parks and nature bond costs have been uncertain. We take a cautious approach, staff takes a cautious approach, and a pretty knowledgeable approach on the beginning of scope of projects and to prepare for some level of certainty. Currently, none of the capital projects in the budget are being considered for cancellation. But if things don't materialize in some certain ways, that could change. Staff are actively looking for ways to extend capital dollars through grants and partnerships. And of course, we're working a lot with all of our partners. There's 26 park providers throughout the area, and so we're working a lot with them wherever we can. They have bond issues. They've been successful in some cases in getting their bond issues passed. So most recently in Tualatin Hills and also in Tualatin and the Tualatin Hills Parks and Nature. And so this is helpful because they generate local monies, and it provides them more flexibility to work with us on capital projects that we share.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Metro works closely with local governments across the region in many endeavors. How would you characterize the current state of collaboration with these entities?
I guess I'll take that and give a comment to our COO if necessary. Well, first of all, our collaboration with local governments, and I talked to some of the local governments and the local park people, and it's generally good. I get nothing but kudos about, we talked to your parks people just last week. We have a lot of coordination. So we coordinate across multiple policy and project implement areas. As in past years, we are collaborating areas of great success and spaces where collaboration can be challenging. I mean, there's always some issues. Monthly advisory bodies such as the Joint Policy Advisory Committee on JPAC and the Metro Policy Advisory Committee continue to, to present spaces where county, city, and local governments representatives gather to discuss these issues. There's also both the Clackamas County Coordinating Committee and the Washington County Coordinating Committee, which we sit on and we participate and listen to what they have to say, where they get together, and we pay attention to what the regional mayors consortiums also have to say. This is a little bit more of a longer response. When the annual trip to Washington, D.C. regarding transportation, Salem elected officials we advocate for shared transportation priorities. This is always a big issue. Particularly, it's been challenging in the most recent terms because of some of the different priorities and some of the different changes coming out of the federal government in terms of priorities for funding and availability of funding. This has been quite challenging. Implementation of the affordable housing bond, joint implementation process between selected cities, the counties, and Metro has, as you've heard, has been successful beyond the goals of the bond measure. but with a number of mayors citing, bond funding authorities. We just opened a nice one down on Wilsonville yesterday. We continue to support local governments, and the cities are very proud of these. And we continue to support the local governments in planning for growth and development through the heavily subscribed 2040 Planning and Development Grant process. All but a few local governments are successfully deploying their share of the Parks and Nature Bond Fund. And there's been when we ask for grants, whether it's large-scale community investments or small-scale community developments, we get a lot of applications, we get a lot of ideas, more ideas than we can possibly fund. We're limited in terms of what the resources allow. So a new effort that Metro is launching this year, one of the important things is deeply involved our regional local governments, is the Future Vision Project. And that has taken hold in the comment period, I believe, ends this week. A council-appointed commission has been developed, and they've been having meetings to shape an update for the Metro Charter required 50-year vision. This is something that we have to do every now and again. We've had a lot of successes with the 2040 plan, and we've been making those presentations to the cities and JPACT and MPACT. The work to date has included engagement with the advisory bodies and the Committee on Racial Equality. Public surveys have been sent out, and we've engaged a youth cohort to involve in this. And that process is ongoing. It's going to go through the summer with a report at the end of the year. Toolkits have been sent out to local city and county leaders, and there's been quite a bit of interest in this. In fact, there are probably more people want to be on this Future Vision Commission than we have spaces that we can actually accommodate. So over the past 3 years, coordination around homeless services has been challenging. Coordination in general is always challenging. We've been trying to convene people regionally on a number of these issues, realizing, including economic development. We've worked to set timetables, convene, and engage how to best structure and oversee both supportive services, economic development, and parks and nature issues. The period of time has been, as you know, there's been contentious, and I mentioned before, we've had a lot of challenges in terms of changing landscapes and changing threats, and communities have had a lot of other issues to deal with. So we have the RPOC has already been mentioned. I won't go into that. But we've had to let's just say we've had to continually reimagine our relationships with our county and our city partners. It's been challenging, but the word I get on the street and talking to the communities in my district, at least, is that it's been very positive, and they appreciate the coordination that we've been able to achieve. As you probably know, a lot of the local governments are facing severe budget challenges. That's another issue that we have to address. Just the money isn't there for many of these things because of, as was noted, the economic, shall we say, the mini downturn that we've had in the Portland area right now. So there's a lot of challenges there. We've created collaboration challenges, multiple jurisdictions. I mentioned one, for example, Kellogg Creek Dam, where we invested a lot, but the federal government didn't come through the money. So we have to readjust as to how we're going to move forward with some of these projects. But we haven't lost the goals, and we haven't lost the policies and the principles. Just adjustment is an ongoing process.
Great.
I'm sorry, that was sort of a long answer, but it's
not the least. Greatly appreciated, Counselor. Thank you.
It's me again.
Well, yeah.
Yes, thank you. The Oregon Convention Center has struggled since the pandemic. And in this budget, we see there was $2 million added for a stabilization fund. Could you please provide a status update on the Convention Center? And specifically, what is the revenue to expense ratio today compared to pre-pandemic levels? What options is Metro considering to return the Convention Center to those pre-pandemic levels?
This one's on me. Thank you for the question. As you point out, since the pandemic, the Convention Center has been operating in a difficult recovery environment. Part of that is national. When you shutter a facility for a year, and the people the groups that would use that facility, local as well as national and international, stop all their cancel their reservations, all the bookings, and you're starting over. Prior to COVID, the revenue to expense ratio at the convention center was 89, the expense to revenue, sorry.
Expense to revenue.
Expense to revenue, 89%. 100% of revenue, we only spent 89% of it. That allowed us to put money into reserve for future capital projects and things like that. Most recent year that we have complete data on, the expense to revenue ratio was 108%.
Okay.
We're spending 108% of the money we're taking in. So we're pulling it out of those reserves in order to operate the facility. Causes for that shift, I alluded to a little bit. General inflationary factors, canceled events, slow recovery of bookings, and Portland had the detrimental effects of some exaggerated national news about our livability here and security. And we also are dealing with reduced lodging tax revenues, which help support the convention center. So in response, OCC has taken significant actions, including materials and services, expense reductions, revenue enhancements, different types of business, recruiting different types of users to come in and rent our facilities and provide services that way. And also a 17% reduction in force to our full-time staffing during the current, that was approved, was alluded to earlier, during the current fiscal year. Those actions are helping to stabilize OCC's financial condition, but we acknowledge that bookings continue to be soft. Convention centers are often booked 2, 3, 4, sometimes 5 years out. And so all the efforts in promotion that are ongoing now may not be reflected for a few more years as those conventions and those conferences come back to Portland and realize that they are sorry they were gone for so long. You specifically referred to the $2 million stabilization reserve. It's intended to be a temporary tool to financially bridge the convention center through this volatile recovery. In cooperation with our strategic partners, which are Travel Portland and Travel Oregon, as well as the broader hospitality community, OCC staff and leadership are collaborating on initiatives to promote Portland area, Oregon, as a place to have your conference, to have your convention, to have other exhibits. But those are taking time to actually show results. And we'll continue those. We don't think we can cut our way out of this problem. This is truly an instance where we have to grow our way out of the problem. We need to increase revenue, and the team there is really being innovative now. We'll just have to wait another year or two to see the results from that.
Can I ask a quick question? Can you provide some national context around conventions and conferences?
Hey, Lifeline.
Yes.
Who's here?
I can take that
Oh, yes, of course.
Oh,
Cindy is.
And I'll tell you why I'm asking, because it seems to me, like my little window in the world, there's much less appetite for attending conferences among a lot of professionals I know. So I'm wondering if there's a general downturn nationally that might explain some of the lack of interest in OCC.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, welcome. I'm Cindy Wallace. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Executive Director of the Oregon Convention Center, as well as the Portland Expo Center. What we have seen post-COVID is a drop in attendance for national and international conferences. So that is a trend across the nation. And then what's happening in the world today over the last 6 months, we have seen a decrease in international travel by at least 7% for Portland. However, what we do see for the Portland market is when our convention clients book here and hold events in Portland, they have a higher attendance rate than they projected. So they're seeing a lot of positivity in being in Portland when they decide to come here. But overall, attendance is down. So, for example, for fiscal 26, we have 50 conventions. We had 50 conventions, we have a few more before the end of the year. For fiscal 27, we have 50 conventions. However, for the hotels and forecasting performance for OCC and the rest of the hospitality community, we're forecasting flat. So that's a decrease in attendance, a decrease in hotel stay, a decrease in transient lodging. So fiscal 27 is going to be a rough patch for us as we move out of fiscal 27, 28, 29, 30, are starting to look better. The financial review team of the Visitor Development Fund has forecasted that we'll be at, the hotels will be at a performance level of pre-pandemic by 2033. So we've got a ways to go.
I think you may have answered the question that just arose. So you mentioned 50 conventions in FY26 and flat through the next fiscal year. How many were you averaging pre-COVID, say FY 2019?
50 to 55,
okay.
some years, probably for what we were planning. So with the groundbreaking of the Hyatt in 2017, in November of 2017, pardon me, it was August of 2017, and then we started selling the Hyatt as a headquarter hotel for the convention center in November of 2017. The Hyatt was supposed to be completed and was on time, on budget, in December of 2019. So we had booked probably about 63 to 65 conventions for fiscal 20, which then, of course, didn't materialize. You can see, I think a table was given in our report, but we had a fairly successful year in fiscal 23-24, primarily because of all the cancellations that occurred in 20. We moved, and our clients were gracious enough to want to continue booking in Portland, but then delay it to 23 or 24 based on their booking pattern. As Counselor had noted, that our convention clients book anywhere from 2 to 3 to 5 years out.
Well, 65 conventions pre-COVID down to 50 now is a 30% decrease. That sounds pretty substantial.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I have follow-up questions.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm going to grab my water.
Yeah, absolutely. So we see that Metro is loaning Prosper $3 million for the development of a food hall across the convention center. Can you explain for us and the public why Metro is funding this effort?
Sure, I'll start. Cindy we'll tag team this. We're participating in the Prosper Portland proposed food hall project, directly tied to long-term economic development success and the competitiveness of not just the convention center, but the district around it, broader regional visitor economy, not just in that building. The project is intended to address several long-standing needs in the convention center district, increase street-level activation and vibrancy in an area that has historically lacked the level of hospitality and visitor serving amenities found in competing convention destinations. Support for local small businesses, entrepreneurs, culturally diverse food operators through an incubator style grows broader economic development opportunity or ambitions. Additional visitor spending and activity that supports hotels, tourism recovery, and the regional hospitality economy. And from a strategic perspective, convention centers today compete not only on exhibit hall space, but on the surrounding visitor experience. Whether after the day's events at the convention center, small groups might want to go have a drink, or having an entire district that is appealing to the attendees is important. And we have to stay up with those trends. National event planners increasingly evaluate walkability, dining options, activation, nightlife, and neighborhood amenities as they're selecting destinations. Investments that strengthen the convention center district help improve Portland's competitiveness for future conventions, meetings, other tourist-related activities. And finally, this effort is aligned with broader recovery objectives for downtown and the Lloyd district, which overlaps with the convention center district. Increased visitor activity, active storefronts, community-oriented gathering spaces contribute to a sense of safety, a vibrancy that brings activity to the convention center and around the center. That's why we think it's an important investment for us to make.
That makes very good sense. I think that the commission was interested in particularly in the financial aspects of this, there was a question about how Prosper would be able to repay the loan and the recourse that Metro would have to recover these public funds if Prosper Portland cannot repay them.
Okay, I'm calling in my second lifeline. Someone from, Brian, someone from your team? Or do you want to do that?
We can cover this. Go for it. Okay.
Okay, fine.
No, absolutely. So thank you for the question, and I think it's always top of mind for us when we're doing something that's a little bit innovative and outside the box. I think Councilor Nolan absolutely perfectly outlined all the benefits to a project like this, and there are also clearly risks. I think the proposition for Metro is really simple. If we have requested that Prosper back the loan. So, it is a true, if the project fails, they would repay us immediately. And those are our requirements for participating. We're still negotiating that agreement, but we are very, very firm on that. It has to work for Metro, as well as for Prosper and the partner that they've engaged. So we are very focused on negotiating a strong agreement that has strong protections for us and for the taxpayer. But I do, and I think our whole team really feels that this is an incredible opportunity to just change the dynamic in this area. If you walk up the street, you will find mostly national chains. We have our beloved Burgerville, but then there is Denny's, Red Robin. I mean, it doesn't feel like Portland versus I'm sure all of you have by now been to the Portland airport. When you step off a plane into the Portland airport, it feels like Portland. It smells like Portland. It looks like Portland. We want our visitors to have that same experience. And we want the businesses in this neighborhood to build up a critical mass so that they also thrive.
May I?
Go ahead.
In that vein, is Metro involved in any of the discussions around the Moda Center and potentially community benefits that might be negotiated that could contribute to this?
I think our leadership is connected to the leadership at the City of Portland and at the state that are negotiating directly. That it's a City of Portland facility. I think one thing that I'll say, and then I'll turn it over to our council, is that a lot of the discussions kind of leave out that the public, we own that building. We own the Moda Center. And so if the Blazers leave, we have an empty building. So there is risk for us if that transaction doesn't go well. But I'll hand it over to council to talk about any conversations that you've had.
I think we're just in the loop, but we have no direct role in negotiations or anything like that. So just.
Do you want one?
Did you say, do we want one? I don't know. Do we want a role?
Want what?
Do we want what?
I mean, you said you have no role at the moment, and my question is, do you want one? Do you want a role? Involved?
I think it'd be important for the community and the city to ask, and no one has asked us. So I don't think we're to insert ourselves into negotiations like that until,
Thank you.
there's some need. Thank you.
Can I ask a question? Is the area across the convention center, is that in a URA? It used to be. Is it still?
That's a great question.
I mean, if it is, why isn't Prosper paying for this?
I'm pulling this out of the Wayback Machine. I believe that URA is tapped out.
I think the OCC is done, but they've created a bunch of other URAs. I think that's a question we'd like to know the answer to, because they would have that resource and would not put Metro at risk.
We're happy to follow up.
Okay, that's fair enough, but I'd like to know if it's in the URA or not, because why would you be loaning money if it was?
Well, it's an investment, and I think, it's important for us, as Councilor Nolan said, we can't cut our way out of this problem. We have to look at the amenities that we have and the attractions that we build for visitors. And I think it's also, Cindy and her team run a great business. They try to, under very difficult circumstances, to make sure that that building makes money. But all of the tourist assets, whether you're talking about OCC, the Expo Center, MODA, the majority of the benefit accrues outside the building. We bring people here and they spend money outside and support the regional economy in a way that's different from any other kind of business. So we're looking at this food hall or the beer hall and food court as an investment, and we're going to build in protections. And if Prosper doesn't agree to those protections, I would not recommend that council move forward.
I mean, there's been many attempts to activate this area for years, including the Rose Quarter, including the Lloyd District, the area between Lloyd Center and here. I mean, what is going to make this one successful? I think that's a good question to ask before you make that loan.
And I absolutely think we're asking that. Thank you.
Thank you.
So you mentioned the convention center and the expo, and last year they combined key functions. Is that correct? And so sales and administrative teams to support both venues. So a year later, can you talk to us about savings or efficiencies that have been accomplished with this collaboration or?
Okay. Yes. I'll support. Yes. Again, we're tag team. Love it. So as Cindy acknowledged when she introduced herself, she is director over both of those facilities now, and that consolidation of staff and management resulted in a reduction in force, as I mentioned earlier, to another question, of associated personnel expenses and of approximately $880,000, about 28% in the fiscal 26 budget compared with 25. Beyond direct financial impacts, the consolidation also improved operational coordination and strategic alignment between the two venues. Shared management and support structures have created more efficient use of staffing resources, better alignment of sales and booking strategies, improved operational decision-making across the venues, flexibility in scheduling, event management, and customer service, events that, if one facility doesn't have room, can we accommodate it at the other facility? And also important for council perspective, greater consistency in the financial oversight and accountability. But it's not only a cost-cutting exercise. The broader objective was to create a more sustainable and strategically aligned operating model that improves long-term financial performance, operational efficiency, and revenue generation opportunities between both facilities. Those additional efficiencies continue to materialize. The first year of consolidation already demonstrates measurable progress and improved viability for both of the venues. And that is significantly owing to the person who's going to continue this dialogue with you, because she's been able to stitch those together in a way that's been very effective.
Thank you. I don't know what more to add. We are constantly looking at how to advance technology, streamline processes, improve efficiencies in both venues, and how we can cross-reference what we see as supportive processes for our staff and for our clients, and where we have the expertise at the Oregon Convention Center, how we can bring that and the way in which we communicate to staff and to our clients and have consistency in how we service, I think is really benefiting Expo.
Yeah, that seems to make a lot of sense. Like prior to this, were they kind of like siloed and maybe even competing with each other?
I wouldn't necessarily say competing. We consider, and I started my career in Metro actually at the Expo Center in 2002, working for their food and beverage contractor. So I'm very familiar with the property, and the clientele has remained very much consistent over the last 23 years. We consider the two properties to be sister properties, sister venues. And so if an event or a venue doesn't have space for an event at one, we're looking at the other. So they're primarily, over the last 20 years, we have at OCC moved a variety of consumer shows over to the Expo Center. They've had availability. We re-strategized and are resituating ourselves to make sure that we can have the space and availability for convention business. And prioritize convention business. So in doing so, over the last 20 years, we've moved probably about a dozen consumer shows over to the Expo Center.
Has Expo faced the same kind of decline as the convention center, pandemic, post-pandemic?
With the amount of events, not necessarily, but attendee count, yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Rita?
The budget notes a $200,000 investment to modernize the regional economic model by funding a contract to implement a general equilibrium model. The public, including me, may not be familiar with this model. Can you tell us more about what it's used for, and can you describe what you're contracting for and how this effort will benefit Metro?
Thank you for that question, Dr. Moore. Metro is working to upgrade its economic analysis and forecasting tools. A new data and modeling subscription agreement is in the works to provide Metro with the most up-to-date economic modeling and analysis, likely with REMI, or REMI, the primary national provider of these services. The new infrastructure will give staff better data, clearer forecasts, and more consistent models for understanding the region's economy. Among other things, existing models were built primarily for managing robust populations and employment growth, which does not currently describe the local economic conditions. Metro has a strong internal group of employees and specialized skills in this area, and we're excited to bring in local experts and other governments to collaborate on this effort. The next step brings together Metro economists, subject matter experts, and outside partners to create a flexible and transparent forecasting system. It would produce annual regional forecasts, urban growth report forecasts, and custom analysis for Metro and other jurisdictions. The benefit of the new approach includes better research for complex policy questions, stronger support for agencies' priorities, more consistent and accountable modeling, and new opportunities to work with other agencies, nonprofits, and the private sector.
So you've been using this model for some time already, and now you're
Come on, Josh.
What's the word?
Come on,
Modernizing?
Josh. Come on, Josh. Just come on up here.
Thank you. Counselor Simpson, committee, my name is Josh Howard. I am the Revenue and Analytics Division Director in the COO's office. I think this is a story about responsible use of technology, frankly. When I started in my career, way back in the olden days, we had to manually input variables into equations and spit out results and then analyze those and try to tweak them and do all those things. We have machines that can do that now and can do that better and faster and more robustly than we can. This is just a simple upgrading of our systems to recognize that and to use those use the latest technology to support Metro's actions agency-wide. And also, just by accident of history, I have a lot of connections with the other local governments and the state, and so we've been able to talk to them and pull them into other conversations. So in my dream world, this would be kind of an overarching regional economic model that other local governments could buy into. That's why we're trying to set it up that way. But really what we're trying to do is raise the bar to the modern modern modeling technology that we think we can access. We used to have to do this with, say, 5 FTE, and now I think the responsible way to upgrade is to use the technology and use the existing people we have and the expertise we have inside to augment that technology.
Okay, so my degree is not in economics. So is the general equilibrium model, could you explain it like I'm a 7-year-old?
Yeah, I can try real quick. I'd love to get a whiteboard for this, but the way to think about it is that the way that our econ model is set up here, and way that it's no judgment at all, but essentially it says population comes here because it's a nice place to be. We generate economic activity, we generate jobs, and that's kind of how it works. But we know through economics, when we say general equilibrium, we know that actually economic activity can happen either because the jobs get created or people come here. And so instead of a line that goes from, say, population to economic activity to jobs, and that, it's more of a circle that says that economic activity can be started either by population growth or by job growth. And that job growth can augment the population and vice versa. So it's just a recognition of kind of the modern modeling techniques.
Okay, kind of thought that's what we always did, but okay. So you've been using this regional economic model for some time?
I believe Metro's been using it. I'm relatively new to Metro, and in this realm, but it's been used for 20 some odd years, I believe.
Oh, okay.
In our planning department.
So how reliable have the forecasts been?
I think our planning department provided some explanation of that in the explanations. I don't have it in front of me right now. There we go. And so it gets better over time, as you might imagine. I mean, I think what you'll see in our forecasts over time is that the further you get away from the forecast, the more error you're going to produce. That's normal. Obviously, if the economy doesn't go exactly as you think in the first 6 months, in 6 years you're going to be much further off, and so it just propagates through like that. But I don't think this is a situation where we're replacing a model because it doesn't work. This is simply an upgrading and gives us the opportunity to do more things with our technology and with our data.
Thank you.
Do you want to read it?
If you want to, if you feel strongly.
What's your call?
We have like 5 minutes.
Pardon me? Okay, so we're going to ask one more question, and it's a little more of a technical question. So I'll make it short, but you're planning to replace your enterprise resource planning system. Can you give us an update on that? Somebody who's working on that project?
Come on, Brian. Come on, you might as well just come on up here.
Oh, do you have that? Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you. Yep. Metro didn't set a goal of achieving cost savings as part of the project, but we believe it is not a wise fiscal choice to delay implementation. The longer we wait to upgrade to a new system, the more expensive it becomes, as we well know the times we're living in. At the same time, we suffer from poor functionality or products that are no longer supported. Virtually all research on ERP shows that organizations don't achieve cost savings as a result of those implementations. In large part, that's because this type of software isn't like commodities like televisions, where you expect them to get less expensive over time with better features. ERP software does not get cheaper because new versions tend to do more. Second, the associated staffing for the ERP does not shrink and sometimes grows as organizations implement that increased functionality. Some of those jobs change, and the goal is to free up staff from the rote manual task and allow them to focus on deeper analytical work. The goal for the projects are to replace outdated legacy software and invest in modern systems that will help automate business processes, improve the employee experience, and provide a platform to help move Metro to a more data-driven, analytical, informed model of decision-making. Kind of get us up to speed, modern times. We need to get there quickly. Brian?
I don't have anything to add unless there are follow-ups.
All right.
I guess my follow-up is, being a veteran of this, and I'm sure you've been a veteran of this and others, has it gotten better to implement these systems? Do you feel more confident that they can go on budget, on time, and perform the way that they're intended to perform?
I would say yes. I think we have learned a lot over the last few years. And sorry, I should introduce myself. Brian Kennedy, Chief Financial Officer for Metro, use he, him pronouns. The system we're implementing has also been implemented by a number of our local government partners. And so we've spent a lot of time with them learning what worked and what maybe worked not as well to try to improve that. We also, our project manager has previous ERP implementation experience. We are both veterans of ERP implementation. So I think we have done kind of all the things right to position ourselves well to successfully implement. And we feel pretty confident about where we are and our ability to hit our projected go live, which is July 1st of 2027.
In a year?
Yes.
Okay, great. And I wish you best of luck. I know
Thank
these are
you.
difficult.
We'll follow up next year.
Which ERP is it?
Workday.
We're implementing Workday.
Okay, well, I want to thank the counselors and all the staff here at Metro for their thoughtful and responsive answers. And I will gavel this hearing closed and open up a regular business meeting for the TSCC. That's closed. This is open. All right, Allegra, can you review the staff recommendations for the budget?
Yes, and I would like to very quickly just give a public thank you to Metro staff. I say it every year, but your professionalism and continued dedication to transparency, budget law compliance just makes our jobs easier, and we appreciate your partnership now and throughout the entire year. We as staff found the budget estimates to be reasonable for the purposes stated and in substantial compliance with budget law. Staff suggests no recommendations or objections to the fiscal year 26-27 approved budget.
Thank you. May I have a motion authorizing the commission to sign the certification letter as recommended by staff?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimously authorized. Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your afternoon.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks. We're done.